OCO, everyone, and thank you for joining today. My name is Sommer Purdom, and I work for the Butler Institute for Families through the Graduate School of Social Work at Denver University. I am a trained professional coach with a certification in trauma-informed developmental coaching, and I have over 20 years experience working in and with state and tribal child welfare agencies, as well as those federal partners who collaborate with and oversee these agencies. I am a proud citizen of the Cherokee Nation, and several years ago, I had the great privilege of seeing the development of a leadership model that we're going to be discussing today, as well as the Tribal Child Welfare Leadership Academy and facilitating the academy to several tribal nations across the United States. Today, I want to introduce you to the leadership model. It's labeled Indigenous Circles of Leading, an Eagle's View. And this model offers a powerful framework for those that are working in child welfare because it centers relationships, community, and healing. And it just reminds us that leadership is not just what we do, but how we are. Grounded in Indigenous knowledge, it helps us lead with cultural humility, foster trust, and promote well-being, not just for children and families, but for ourselves and for those teams that we work with. It can be used as a guide for navigating complexity with heart, vision, and connection. This model is more than just a picture on the screen or a diagram. It's a reflection of Indigenous ways of knowing, being, and leading. It was developed through deep listening to tribal leaders, elders, and child welfare professionals, and it honors the oral traditions and storytellings that have guided Indigenous communities for generations. What makes this model especially powerful in this work and for those of us in child welfare is that it shifts the focus from that linear leadership to more relational leadership. That relational leadership where connection, community, and cultural context are central to the work that we do. Many of the children and families that we serve or work with, they come from backgrounds where these values aren't just important, they're foundational to their identity and healing. So by understanding this model, this framework, we kind of begin to see leadership not as a control, but as responsibility, reciprocity, and presence. You'll notice that this model invites reflection, humility, and the long view, which is what the eagle represents near the top of the screen. It asks us to lead with awareness of history, with respect for collaborative wisdom, and with an understanding that our actions ripple out and affect generations and generations. So, as we explore this model today, consider how you might integrate its teachings into your work, whether that's how you support families, engage in your communities, or mentor the next generation of leaders. It isn't about replacing what you already know. It's about expanding your lens and honoring the leadership practices that have sustained our Indigenous nations for centuries. It's an invitation to lead with heart, with courage, and with humility to keep learning. As professionals in child welfare, your role is usually deeply relational. It's not just about navigating systems. It's about supporting people, working with families, supporting communities. And we do that through some of the most vulnerable moments in their lives. And that's why this model can be such a powerful lens to work through, to look through, and to operate through. At the heart of the model, you'll see in the middle, is the Indigenous way of being. It speaks to who we are, why we're here, and how we are connected to everything and everyone around us, our communities, our ancestors, and generations to come. It invites us to lead from not that place of control, but from a place of connection. The medicine wheel, right outside the Indigenous ways of being, that reminds us that we bring our whole selves into this work. We bring our emotions, our physical presence, our mental clarity, and our spiritual grounding, whatever that looks like for each of us. When one of these areas is out of balance, it shows up in our work and in our relationships. And that's true for the families that we serve. And it's true for each of us as individuals and when we connect with each other in the work that we do. The eagle at the top of the screen, that kind of invites us to step back and take that bigger picture. In child welfare, it's easy to get stuck in that crisis response or case management, but the eagle's view, that bigger view from way up top, that helps us see systems, cycles, and deeper patterns. We recognize intergenerational trauma, historical injustices, community strengths, and cultural resilience. It helps us lead not just in that reactively way that we typically do in child welfare, but more reflectively by looking in that mirror at who we are and how we're operating within this system. The feathers near the bottom of the model, those are not just decorative, those are sacred. They carry values that are vital in your work: humility, love, respect, courage, honesty, wisdom, and truth. These teachings are drawn from the Anishinaabe seven grandfather teachings, and they're only one example of how values are passed down and lived out in the work that we do. They aren't just nice to have qualities, they're protective factors in human relationships. When families feel seen and respected and honored in their full identity, they're more likely to trust, engage, and heal. And unlike many Western leadership models that are that hierarchical or task-based, this one you notice is circular, it's communal, it's dynamic. Just like the communities that you serve, it teaches us that leadership is about relationship, reciprocity, and rhythm. One of the most important takeaways from this model is that it doesn't ask you to abandon your own background or your own culture. It asks you to honor it, and then remain open to cultures and ways of being of those people in your community that you serve. It's an invitation kind of to lead in a way that's both rooted and expansive. Um, so I kind of encourage you not just to observe the model, but to step into it. Reflect on your own values. Think about what balance looks like in your own life. Consider how your decisions ripple out, and ask, how can I show up in this work in a way that is relational, grounded, and transformational, not just procedural? And when we lead from this place, this space, we don't just support change, we become part of that healing that we're looking to see. As we kind of bring this brief introduction to a close, I invite you to pause and reflect a little bit on the model that you've seen and see it not as a model, but as a mirror. The Indigenous Circles of Leading, they ask us to remember that leadership is not about control or hierarchy or having all the answers. It's about being in right relationships. Those relationships are with ourselves, with others, and even with the systems that we influence. It challenges us to lead with intention, humility, balance, and honor the cycles of growth, rest, and renewal that are needed for us to continue to do this job. In the world of child welfare, this model becomes especially powerful. Our work is deeply relational. Every decision ripples outward, affecting children, families, communities, and generations. So when we lead from a place of wholeness, grounded in our own values and aware of our interconnectedness, we create systems that not only are more just, but more human. And this model it offers us a new lens. It's a way to see that whole, to lead with love and accountability, and to center the cultural strengths that have always existed within indigenous and marginalized communities. So here's a challenge I leave with you. Think about these things. How will you bring this circle into your work? And how can you begin to lead from your center, being your values, your purpose, and your own cultural ways of knowing? And what might shift if we stopped seeing leadership as a ladder and started seeing it more as this circle and this relational view? So whether you're in research, policy, you're in the field and practice, this model just invites you to widen your view, to lead like the eagle that we saw, with clarity, respect, and vision from above. Um, I challenge you to move forward with hearts open and eyes lifted and spirits grounded, because our children and their futures, they deserve nothing less. My hope for each of you is that is you can find how to bring your whole self into this work, and into this commitment to building systems that truly honor the sacredness of every child. In my culture, in the Cherokee culture, we don't have a word for goodbye. So I just leave you with Wado, which means thank you. And I hope to see you in some of the future learnings that will take place here.